Hi, I'm Maya from the Salad Bar, located in the Julietta Market at Greyline Station on the corner of Ladin and Lime. You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people, WLXU 93.9 LPFM Lexington.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome everybody to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you can download the Radio Lex app on your smartphone device to listen anywhere in the entire world. You can also stream the show live from the website at radiolex.us. I am broadcasting from the Deborah Hensley Studios here at Radio Lex on North Limestone. It is May the 25th, 2023. We are on the brink of Memorial Day weekend, so it's the big 3-day weekend that everybody looks forward to. Everybody is excited to get off work. I think most schools are already letting out at this point, so it's a very exciting time for everyone. I think parents might want to beg to differ a little bit because they're at home a lot with their kids in the summer. But hey, why else did you have the kids, right? If you don't enjoy their company, why did you want them to begin with? But anyway, it is May the 25th, and I started thinking about this day. A lot has happened on May 25th, and we've done this before on the show. It's kind of been a recurring segment where we've done on this day in history. And that's what I would like to start the show off talking about, on this day in history, because May 25th, it's a big day. A lot has happened in the history of May the 25th. And I love doing this reoccurring segment. We don't have many on the show. Let's see here. We do a song of the week every single week. Here recently, I've been doing quotes of the week. And we've had this segment from time to time on this day in history, and we don't do it every week, but when we do it, I always get great feedback. People are always like, you need to do more of these. Well, if you tuned in today, you are in luck, because we are going to be doing on this day in history, May the 25th. On this day in history, May the 25th, 1932, Goofy, aka Dippy Dog, first appears in Mickey's Revue by Walt Disney. I think about all of the iconic Disney characters that are out there. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Pluto, and then Goofy. Goofy is right up there as being maybe one of the most iconic Disney characters out there. Well, on this day, folks, is when Goofy said hello to the world. On this day, May the 25th, in 1935, American baseball player Babe Ruth hit the 714th and last home run of his career. He retired later that year, and he held that record for 39 years. So Babe Ruth, probably the most iconic baseball player to ever exist, ended his home run record. and his last home run was hit on this day in history. On this day, May the 25th in 1977, Star Wars, written and directed by George Lucas and released by 20th Century Fox, opens in American theaters. The original Star Wars grossed nearly $800 million worldwide and won multiple awards at the 50th Annual Academy Awards and created a cult following for future Star Wars movies. Star Wars might be one of the most influential movies ever created. It certainly has a cult following. I know a ton of people who love Star Wars, a ton of people who go all out for Star Wars. Well, it all began on this day, and the movie was called Star Wars Episode 4. Now, why they didn't start with Episode 1, I don't know. But the movie, it came out on this day in 1977. On this day, May the 25th in 1978, the nation's first legal casino outside of Nevada opens in the resort town of Atlantic City, New Jersey for dice rollers and card players. Used to, once upon a time, Vegas was the only place in town for people to do any type of gambling. It was Vegas or nothing, but New Jersey got in on the action when Atlantic City finally opened a casino. And ever since then, they took off. Now, Vegas, they never did put a dent in the success and just the aura of what Las Vegas is, but they certainly did compete with them for a while. On this day, May the 25th, 1992, Jay Leno becomes the permanent host of the United States talk show, The Tonight Show. Now, out of all the Tonight Show hosts, Jay Leno was my least favorite. I was never a fan. I would have rather have watched David Letterman. I would have rather watched Conan O'Brien. Never really watched Jay, but I remember Jay growing up in a time when network television was the biggest thing out there. Jay Leno was the star. If you hosted The Tonight Show in the 90s, you were still one of the biggest stars in the entire world, especially in the TV industry. When Johnny Carson retired from The Tonight Show in 1992, people didn't think that that show could succeed. People thought that the show was over. It was the Johnny Carson show, pretty much. Well, Jay Leno stepped in and was number one in the ratings against all of his competition all the way up into his first retirement. So Jay Leno really was successful in the role, taking the place of Johnny Carson. And what a role to fill. Some people call Johnny Carson the greatest Tonight Show host to ever do it. That's a good argument. But Jay Leno had to step in there when it was really difficult to do. And he did it on this day in 1992. And if you guys have never seen the movie The Late Shift on HBO, I recommend that watch. It's on HBO Max, and it covers the late night wars between David Letterman and Jay Leno because they both were competing to host The Tonight Show. And it's got Jay Leno's manager, who was really influential on him getting The Tonight Show. She was played by Kathy Bates, an iconic performance, and it's a good movie. I definitely suggest you check that out. On this day, May the 25th, 2011, the last episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show aired. It was the long-running TV program that helped make Oprah Winfrey one of the richest and most influential women in the United States. 2011, you kind of seen a trend. Once Oprah left network television, you kind of seen a trend of network television declining after that. It's like Oprah's always been ahead of the game. She's always known exactly when to get out at the right time. And network television really started to decline around the 2011 era. That was right around the time Larry King retired. It was right around the time a lot of the daytime talk shows completely went off the air. Oprah Winfrey got out at the right time. 2011. It wasn't completely shut down by then, 2011. There still was popularity in network television, but Oprah got out of it right before it really started its rapid decline. Now, some people say Ellen DeGeneres at the time was destroying her in the ratings, and that was one of the reasons that she quit. But hey, 25 years is how long she did the show. That's a long time to do anything. And then finally, on this day, May the 25th, in history, 2020, a video of African-American George Floyd's arrest and murder while being restrained in Minneapolis, Police custody shows he was pinned to the ground by police officer Derek Chauvin's knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and it ignited a widespread condemnation and nationwide protest. Yes, folks, that was today. That was in history on May the 25th, 3 years ago today. That was on 2020. It's hard to believe that that was 3 years ago. It seems like only yesterday that something like that happens. I mean, because I think it's just because of the impact that it had. But that, folks, was a little on this day in history. I told you, May the 25th. If you feel like that you need to do something on this day, maybe wish somebody a happy birthday, it's probably a good thing to look through your phone and see if it's anybody's birthday, because it just seems like a day that something's going on, whether it be a birthday, whether it be a graduation, but May the 25th. All right, folks, we have a great show ahead of you today, so stick with us. We'll be right back. This is Off the Cuff with Adam Banks.
Hey, it's Deborah Logan Lawson, and I am with Conversations Around the Table. You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
Radio Lex has the support of audio engineer extraordinaire Doug Collins. Thanks, Doug.
Are you a driver in your early 20s? If so, you're at risk. Adults 20 to 24 have the highest rate of crashes of all drivers. The number one factor in all of these collisions? Not paying attention. Hi, this is Doug Gleason with State Farm, reminding you to be a good neighbor and keep your eyes and mind on the road.
Let's go places safely, Lexington. Which way are you going? If you don't use your turn signals, no one knows. Don't expect other drivers to read your mind. Use your turn signals at intersections, when you change lanes, and any other time you need other drivers to know your intentions. Make turn signals a habit, and if you're not sure, use them. Hi, I'm Bev from Toyota, reminding you that turn signals are how you communicate safely on the road.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Anybody who listens to this show, they know that I love entertainment. I mean, hey, that's what Off the Cuff with Adam Banks is. It's a show about pop culture, and we cover a lot of pop culture on this show. People love entertainment. Movies, for many of us, have been the main source of that entertainment. We've talked about movies so much on this show, different categories when it comes to music, different topics when it comes to movies. Behind all of these movies, though, folks, is, of course, a movie studio. A movie studio is the places where dreams become a reality. Over the years, movie studios have grown into industry giants with pretty respectable names. And it made me start thinking of some of the most powerhouse movie studios that are out there. There's a ton. Now, if you don't know what a movie studio is the production company that creates the movie. So before you watch a movie, you usually see the logo and the theme music of the movie studio. Think about the movie studio logos that come along with these production companies. Not only the music, but the logos. Those logos welcome a person into the experience of watching a motion picture. And it can even establish the tone for what you're about to watch. The possibilities are endless with a movie studio logo. They reinforce the personality and the ambitions of that specific company. So it made me start thinking of the most iconic movie studio theme music and logos of all time. Now, we all can relate to this topic because every single one of us have watched movies in our lifetime. And we've all seen and we've heard these theme music and we've seen these logos from these production companies. So let's talk about the most iconic movie studio theme music and logos of all time. And we'll start with one of the biggest, Universal Studios. Universal Pictures is far more than just a movie studio. The studio brings films to life. It's the production company that has the big world globe and the camera pans around the whole world. This production company was founded in 1912, making Universal the oldest studio in America. Since then, it has produced many classics like Jurassic Park, Jaws, E.T. Extraterrestrial. Steven Spielberg, usually when he does a movie, Universal is the movie production company that wants to work with him. They're usually the ones that say, hey, yeah, we'll produce your movie. And you pretty much know if Universal has picked up your movie to produce, the movie's going to be successful. But just the iconic music and logo alone makes Universal great. All right, coming up next on my list of one of the most iconic movie studio theme music and logos of all time comes from 20th Century Fox. Twentieth Century Fox, it boasts a very prestigious title. It's produced the highest ever grossing film of all time, Avatar, if you're wondering what that was, and that came out in 2009 and it reached $2.8 billion. But it's produced several other hits like Alien, Home Alone 1 and 2, and X-Men. The studio was formed in 1935 when 20th Century Pictures and the Fox Film Corporation merged into one. After its merging, they signed young actors such as Henry Fonda, Carmen Miranda, Alyssa Faye, Shirley Temple, and those people helped popularize the studio. In 1953, 20th Century announced it would be using Cinescope to produce all of its pictures. To popularize the new process, they offered it to any rival studios as well as paying the conversion cost. But 20th Century Fox, you hear this music, you also know it's going to be a great movie. And it is a very prestigious logo. They've got the big, bold 3D 20th Century Fox in gold. All right, coming up next on my list as one of the most iconic studio theme musics and logos of all time, and it comes from Columbia Pictures, which may be my favorite. Now that is a major Hollywood studio theme music and logo. If you're wondering what the logo is, because I know you can't see it on the radio, that's the logo. This is the production company that has the woman holding the torch. She's the woman holding the torch for Columbia Pictures. It kind of looks like the Statue of Liberty. She's just standing there. She's holding the torch way above her head. This production company was founded in 1919 as CBC Film Sales, and it changed to Columbia Pictures in 1924. The lady with the torch is the personification of this production company. When you see her, she is a easy identifier to what movie you're about to watch. You're about to watch a movie produced by Columbia. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes they play around with the Columbia woman because she's so professional. She just stands there. She's real stiff. But I've seen movies before where they've actually, at the beginning of the movie, they'll show this. And one movie had her running away from a mouse that got on the steps. One movie had a fly buzzing around her and she swatted it away. It was very unexpected because you never imagine the lady with the torch to move. But that is Columbia, a great production company who has great music and a great logo. Okay, another iconic movie production company that has a great logo and great music is, of course, Warner Brothers. Now, as simple as that is, that's all the music that they play, but it's very identifiable. You know what movie you're about to watch when you hear it, and that is the Warner Brothers production company. It has produced some of the most loved movies and TV shows in history. Harry Potter, Batman, The Matrix, Wonder Woman, Inception. Do I need to say any more? So many. Since being founded in 1923 by four Warner Brothers, the studio has become potentially the most famous movie studio in the world. Out of the 50th highest grossing films ever made, Warner Brothers lays claim to 11 of them. That's unbelievable. No wonder they're one of the most successful production companies of all time. All right, coming up next on my list as one of the most iconic movie studio theme music and logos of all time is DreamWorks Studios. And this is definitely my favorite logo. The reason I like the logo so much is it's got the little boy fishing on top of the moon, and he casts his pole into the water and he just lays back on the moon and he finishes his fishing. It looks like the most surreal, serene, relaxing thing I've ever seen in my life. And this music, if you're wondering why it's so good and so complimentary, it's because it was produced and composed by John Williams, the same composer who did Star Wars and Jaws and Home Alone. I bet so many people are listening to these production studio theme songs and they're getting so much nostalgia because we can hear these and it makes us think of a movie that was produced by one of these production companies. All right, coming up next on my list as one of the most iconic movie studio theme songs and logos of all time is, of course, from the iconic Disney production studios. You guys recognize this music. It was from When You Wish Upon a Star, which came from the Disney movie Pinocchio. And the logo is, of course, Cinderella's castle, and she's got fireworks going off behind the castle. You see this before any Disney movie that you watch. The Walt Disney Studios is an American film and entertainment studio, and it has all of the Disney movies under its umbrella. It was founded in Burbank, California in 1923, and it's the fourth oldest of the big five major film studios. The Walt Disney Studios division has prominent film production companies, and they have produced so many different animated films and even feature films. All right, coming up next on my list of one of the most iconic movie studio theme music and logos of all time comes from Paramount Pictures. Paramount Pictures is an American film and television production distribution company, and it's the fifth oldest film studio in the world, the second oldest film studio in the United States behind Universal Pictures, and the sole member of the Big Five film studios still located in the limits of Los Angeles. And the logo, if you're wondering, is the mountaintop with the point, and it's got all of those stars circling the mountaintop. And then it's got Paramount in the middle of the circle. All right, coming up next on my list, it doesn't really have theme music to it, but it has an iconic noise that I'm sure everybody will recognize. Take a listen. That is the Roaring Lion from MGM Studios. And I have read and studied so many interesting things about this particular logo and the sound from MGM Studios. You can actually, you may think that MGM, when they filmed this lion roaring, you probably think it was animated or it was CGI'd or it was just created digitally from a computer. But folks, back in 1916, there was no such a thing. They actually had to bring in a lion and film this in person. And you can go on YouTube and watch the filming of this original lion roaring for MGM. MGM is a huge movie studio company, and the lion was the company's mascot. And that's the reason they have a lion roaring at the beginning of all of the movies. And the main lion that you hear roaring in most of the movies, his name is Jackie. And he appeared in these MGM movies from 1928 to 1956. So he was in movies like The Wizard of Oz and all kinds. I can't think off the top of my head. And several lions since him has been filmed. They have had a lion named Leo. They've had a lion named Tanner and George. But Leo has appeared in MGM from 1957 to today. So maybe he is the most recognizable lion that you hear. In the 1980s, MGM trademarked the familiar line's roar, although that sound mark has now been expired. But they trademarked the sound of that roar. MGM Studios. I'm actually going to Vegas this summer and staying at the MGM Hotel. And outside of that hotel, they have lions because that's the MGM logo. So they have lions all throughout that hotel. Now, not real lions. But I also read a creepy story about the MGM lion. The newest lion that they've had recently on MGM, who they recently hired to do the roar, a couple of days after filming the roar, the lion ate its owner. That's creepy. That the lion that you see on some of these movies ate its owner. So one more time, let's listen to the MGM iconic roar. Iconic in itself, just hearing that roar. All right, coming up next on my list as one of the most iconic movie studio theme songs and logos of all time comes from New Line Cinema. And I've got one more on the list to play for everybody as one of the most iconic movie studio theme songs and logo of all time. And this comes from Spyglass Entertainment. I love the logo. Now, of course, there's other movie studios that I didn't mention. Marvel, to be one of them. Happy Madison, Sunflower Productions. There's all kinds. But I just wanted to name the top 10. And those, I feel like, are the top 10 most iconic movie studios that have ever existed. And not only because of the great movies that they put out, but the theme music and the logos that go along with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another quick break. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Lily Rochelle.
And I'm Matt Daly.
And we're the hosts of a new podcast called Undivided. You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people, WLXU 93.9 LPFM in Lexington.
Radio Lex has the support of tailor-made decorative concrete and epoxy. TailorMadeDCE.com.
If you have yet to check out the hottest talk radio show in Lexington, you can do that right here on WLXU 93.9 FM. Join me, Adam Banks, live every Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. to hear content ranging anywhere from current events, pop culture, sports, and life in general. Check out Off the Cuff with Adam Banks live or subscribe to the show on podcast to listen to all previous episodes. This is a live, entertaining hour you don't want to miss.
Make sure you know before you tow. Here are some handy tips for proper hitch use. The right gear is essential. Make sure you choose a hitch that's appropriate to your vehicle. Correct hookup can be tricky. Work with your mechanic if you're not sure. Make sure your trailer is wired for brake lights and turn signals. Distribute cargo weight evenly, then secure clips and ties. Stop after your first 15 miles and make sure everything is secure. Then check every hour or so. Hi, this is Drew Griggs with State Farm, reminding you to be a good neighbor and haul safely.
Radio Lex has the support of Founders Circle member L. Tracy Whitley. Thanks, Tracy.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. My goodness, the energy that Tina Turner brought to the stage. My God. Tina Turner, she always had the short skirts, the long high heels, the built body, and the iconic wigs. But let's not forget that voice that she had. Tina Turner was the dynamic rock and roll singer who rose from humble beginnings and overcame a notoriously abusive marriage to become one of the most popular female artists of all time. Some call her the queen of rock and roll. Unfortunately, I don't play this music to talk about good news about Tina Turner because Tina Turner, unfortunately, died yesterday on Wednesday, May the 24th, at her home in Switzerland. What a riveting performer that she was. This was one of her big hits, Proud Mary, that she sang with her husband, Ike Turner. Her voice was so husky, it was full-throated. She sang with her entire throat. And the energy that she had, and the way she would dance around on stage in heels, I challenge any woman, man, to do that. Tina Turner was born Anna Mae Bullock in 1939 to poor sharecroppers near Nutbush, Tennessee, which was a rural community north of Nashville. And she stated in her north of Memphis, excuse me. And she stated in her autobiography and in interviews that the physical abuse to her husband, Ike Turner, almost started immediately after the marriage. Now, Tina Turner, when she married Ike Turner gave her the name Tina and gave her his last name, hence why she was called Tina Turner. And for years, she performed alongside with her husband, Ike Turner, and they made good music together. But unfortunately, Ike was a terrible, terrible person, and he abused Tina Turner. And he not only abused her, but he badly beat her physically, to the point to where some performances, when she would be singing live, she would have blood in her mouth, because right before she would go out and perform, he would beat her up. I mean, beat her to the point to where her lips would swell, her face would swell, and her eyes would be black. She has stated before that Ike purposely would black her eyes and swell her lips because he wanted people to know that he abused her. It was a sign of power. He felt very much in power and in control when he would abuse her. And it would be... Tina Turner said that he would fly into fits of rage at the slightest provocation. Just any little thing would turn him on to hitting her. She said that he would hit her with whatever was available. Coat hangers, telephones, a wooden shoe stretcher, his fist. And he said often, and very often, he would love to beat her right before she went out on stage. She said on Oprah Winfrey in an interview that he hit me in the ribs and then would always try to give me a black eye because he wanted the abuse to be seen. And she said that was the shameful part. She said you can hide black eyes, but you can't hide swelling. She said, another night we had a fight in the dressing room, and when I went on stage, my face was swollen. I think my nose was broken because blood was gushing into my mouth when I sang. Before, I'd been able to hide under makeup, but I couldn't hide my swelling. And she stuck with Ike Turner for more than a decade because she was terrified of his temper, and she was afraid of what he might do if she abandoned him. But things finally came to a head in July of 1976 when they flew to Dallas for a show. Tina Turner wrote in her book that after a flight on the way to Dallas on an airplane, her husband began hitting her in a car on the way to their hotel. While he slept, she slipped out of the room carrying only a mobile card and 36 cents, which was a quarter and a dime and a penny. And she fled across a busy highway to a motel where a sympathetic clerk saw her bloodied face and gave her a room. And all of this was documented on a real-life movie that was called What's Love Got to Do With It, which came out in 1993, played by the iconic Angela Bassett. And here is a scene from that movie where Tina Turner fled across a busy highway after getting beat to death almost by her husband, Ike Turner. And she went across the hotel, she went out of the hotel, across a busy street into an old motel and asked the clerk for a room. Take a listen. And that, folks, was not made for the movie. That was not to heighten the movie's drama. That was a real life situation. If you've not seen the movie What's Love Got to Do with It with Angela Bassett, you have to check it out. Some of the most haunting scenes I've ever seen of a physical abuse relationship. There's a scene where Ike wants Tina Turner to try some cake, and she doesn't want the cake, so he takes the cake and he stuffs it in her face. And when her friend tries to take up for her, he slaps her friend down. And just Tina is sitting there saying, it's all right, he's okay. And her friend tells her, you're a dead woman if you stay with him. And she eventually left Ike Turner after that night, after she left that hotel and ran to that clerk. And that clerk gave her a room. She never turned back and went back to him. She said in her interview with Oprah, she said, after my plane landed in California, my heart was in my ears. I was afraid Ike would be there because once I left before and he tracked me down on a bus. So when I got off that plane, I ran like mad. I said to myself, if he's here, I'm going to scream for the police. I had one chant in my head. I will die before I go back. So she never went back. And then Tina Turner, she went on and she kept her name. She won the rights to her name, Tina Turner, in court. And she went on and started a solo career. And she produced many hits in her solo career, like this one. What's Love Got to Do with It was a #1 hit for Tina Turner and one of the most famous songs that she's known for. You gotta love Tina Turner and the things that she sang about. She also came out with this classic hit, The Best. Now, as Tina started to age, she did have a ton of health problems. It says here in 2013, 3 weeks after her wedding to Erwin Bach, she suffered a stroke and had to learn to walk again. In 2016, she was diagnosed with intestinal cancer, and Turner opted for homeopathic remedies for her high blood pressure. This untreated high blood pressure resulted in damage to her kidneys and eventual kidney failure. Her chances of receiving a kidney were low, and she was urged to start dialysis. She considered euthanasia and signed up to be a member of Exit, but Bach, who was her husband, offered to donate a kidney for her transplant. She had a kidney transplant surgery on April the 7th, 2017, but then eventually died yesterday, May the 24th, 2023. What an iconic performer, and what a strong, strong woman that Tina Turner was. She was an advocate for physical abuse, and she did show that it was possible to get out of relationships like that and still become successful after going through one of the most traumatic things that you could go through, which is physical abuse. But long live the iconic artist, Tina Turner. All right, folks, we are going to take Off the Cuffs Song on the Week, and because I'm talking about Tina Turner, wouldn't it be necessary to play a Tina Turner song? So I started thinking, what could be the Tina Turner song that I could play? What would be the one that everybody would want to hear? I don't know. I really don't. So why not just enjoy her #1 hit, What's Love Got to Do with It? We'll be back after the song. It really is hard to believe that a force like Tina Turner is no longer with us. 83 years old, though. That's a good life. That's a long life. I think making it to your 80s is nothing to be ashamed of, and you should be thankful for that. But it is sad that she is gone, such an iconic performer. But speaking of performers and speaking of icons, the Railbird Festival is fast approaching here in Lexington. It is June the 3rd and the 4th. And some good news for all of you off-the-cuff listeners. I will be present at the Railbird Festival covering Railbird, and hopefully, now don't hold it to me. I've got my media pass. I received it today, so I will be there. And I will be trying to talk to the artist and talk to some of the performers and get as many interviews as I possibly can to bring back for you on the show. But I am very excited because I will be doing a live remote broadcast from the Red Mile covering all of the performers. And some of the performers that will be there: Weezer, Tyler Childers, Sheryl Crow. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm very excited. And I think you guys will get a kick out of me doing the very first live remote show from the Red Mile, and it will be exciting. All right, folks, we're going to have to take one more break. We'll be right back after these words. Stick with us.
If you've been affected by a violent crime, the lyric, it really does matter, and Sisters and Supporters Working Against Gun Violence invite you to join us for the Land Summit, where you will be provided with information and resources that may help you. The summit is aimed at engaging and supporting those who have suffered from violent crimes. Please join us and take a step towards healing. On May the 28th from 2:30 to 5:30, the doors open at 2:15 at the lyric. For more information, please visit our Facebook page, Sisters and Supporters Working Against Gun Violence.
WLXU 93.9 FM broadcasts live 24/7 from the Deborah Hensley studio inside the Gray Line station on Market. Deborah Hensley, State Farm Agent. DeborahHensley.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Last segment of the hour. All right, it's now time to do everybody's favorite reoccurring segment, Off the Cuff's Quote of the Week. And this week's quote comes from a very familiar name, Mr. Jim Carrey, who is a Canadian-American actor, comedian, producer, author, and artist. I heard this quote at a graduation speech that he gave. Now, of course, I wasn't there during the ceremony to hear it, but thanks to YouTube, I was able to hear this message. And this is the quote. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. Don't you love that? There's so many things that you can go out and do and fail at, like being an accountant, being a mechanic, being a carpenter, being a nurse, being a lawyer, being a doctor, being a pharmaceutical sales rep. So many careers that you can go out and do and fail at, because it's possible. Anything's possible when you jump into a career. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. If you are in a career that you do not love, you have the same probability of failing at that than you would at doing something that you don't love. And Jim Carrey was specifically talking about his father, who wanted him to become an accountant because he was afraid that if his son Jim went into acting, he would fail at it. And Jim told his dad that he could fail at being an accountant, which many people can. You might think you're going to be an accountant. That's a steady 9-to-5 job. You're going to make decent money. But there's no guarantee in that. There's no guarantee in anything that you do. So you might as well and try and do something that you love doing. At least you will fail at what you love than trying to do something that you don't love and failing at it, because failing is possible in any scenario. When I decided to get into radio, which is a very untraditional way of getting into it. Most people who get into radio, they have degrees and they go and study it. And my entry into radio was very untraditional, and I knew I could fail at it. But I might as well take a chance and do what I love versus doing something that I don't and still fail at it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Off the Cuff's quote of the week from Jim Carrey. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we're going to have to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. If you like what you heard today, you'll probably like our previous episodes. You can check out every episode of Off the Cuff with Adam Banks on podcast. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, or wherever you stream your favorite episodes. You can follow the show on social media at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can follow me, the host, on social media at The Adam Banks. We release new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9 FM, which means we will be back, same time, same place. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. We'll catch you down the road.